Hey everyone, this is Kenji. I'm at my restaurant Worst Hall. Camera's a little dirty. Alright, and we're gonna make some dandan noodles, or dandan-ish noodles, I don't know, something close. I haven't spent too much time in Sichuan, which is where dandan noodles are from, but from what I gathered there, dandan noodles are kind of like hamburgers in that there's like a sort of expected way to make them, but nobody actually makes them exactly that way, and they kind of change around. So some of them are soupy, some of them are not, some of them have greens, sometimes they have peanuts, sometimes they don't. We're gonna make a relatively, well, we're gonna make it the way I like to make it. So here's pork. This is gonna be the topping. Pork, little soy sauce. This is dark soy. You can, I think normally I would use light soy, but this is just what I had. Very little bit. A little bit of Sichuan wine. Splash. All right, a little sugar and a little salt. So what we're first going to do is we're going to toast some Sichuan peppercorns. So I got this is a mix of red and green Sichuan peppercorns. They both come from the same plant, except green ones, prickly ash. Green ones tend to be a little more numbing. So I'm just using a mix because I happen to have both. You can use one or the other or either. Oh man, they smell good. They have a kind of piney, lemony scent, and they have that mouth-numbing quality to them. So we're gonna just toast them a little bit. Dry skillet. I'm also gonna put a little bit of cornstarch into this pork there. Touch of peanut oil. You can use whatever oil you want. Oops. Those are starting to get a little too hot. Turn this down. So you might have seen in my one of my recent videos, I made guacamole in a mortar and pestle, and I mentioned in that video that I use a mortar and pestle for many, many things. So one of them would be grinding up Sichuan peppercorns. Another one, I'm going to use this actually 3 separate times in this video. I'm going to grind up Sichuan peppercorns to a powder. When you're grinding spices, by the way, you do a kind of circular motion like this. I'm going to grind up Sichuan peppercorns. I'm going to smash garlic and ginger, and then I'm also going to what's the last thing I'm going to do? What's the last thing I'm going to? Oh, I'm going to grind up some peanuts. So, just in case you're wondering, one does not simply guac in the mortar. I find the mortar and pestle to be definitely the best tool for grinding like a reasonable amount of spices. It's easy to grind a lot of spices in an electric spice grinder, but then if you're just trying to do a little bit, first of all, they kind of whiz around the blade and they don't really get ground up. They're also, you just kind of, you have to clean it every time. So if you're only grinding a little bit of spices, it doesn't really make sense to me to do it in a big old electric spice grinder. Mortar and pestle, much better. All right, there's that. These are just dry roasted peanuts. You can use raw peanuts and toast them yourself. Either toast them or deep fry them. But I'm just using dry roasted. This is what I use like 99% of the time. Not too finely ground, but you know, as fine as you want them. Do I have a container for these? Let's use this guy. Alright. Peanuts. And finally got some ginger here. I'm going to cut off the dry bits, and then I'm just going to use my knife to peel it. You can also scrape it with a spoon if you prefer. I find it's just a little faster to do it this way. But sometimes I use a spoon too, you know. All depends what kind of mood you're in. If you want, by the way, you can save these ginger scraps. I'm not going to today, but you could save your ginger scraps and use them. What I like to do is put them into a little container of soy sauce, and then you get some nice gingery soy sauce, which is tasty. Ginger, where'd my garlic go? Where'd my garlic at? Oh man, I don't know where my garlic is. I had some real garlic. Right? I think gonna have to run downstairs and grab some peeled garlic because that's all we got right now. Let's go. My restaurant, pigs. We are under construction right now. Oh, let me show you this. So here is what's gonna come up. This is our new speakeasy behind this behind this bookshelf. Not open yet. The whole shutdown happened before we got the chance to open it. It's originally was going to be called Underhall because our restaurant upstairs is Wursthall, but we're changing the name to Wunderbar. Everything's ready to go. It's going to be open as soon as we reopen. Well, as soon as we figure we can safely do this. I think it's pretty cool. The walk-in right now has a ton of, well, we've been doing these free meals, so all these meals here, these bags of stuff are meals that are kind of ready to go for tomorrow to be delivered to a hospital. And then all this is Sous Chef Eric's pancetta. All that is Sous Chef Eric's pancetta. Yeah, all right, so what was I going for? Oh yeah, garlic. All right, so I got a few cloves of garlic here. Let's do 2 cloves. So into there. Where'd my pestle go? Where'd my pestle at? Here it is. So you see, I kind of broke down, sliced the ginger first against the grain so that it is easy to smash in the mortar and pestle. This, by the way, this is a little granite mortar and pestle. This is just the one that I had lying around, but at the restaurant. But I prefer, I'm sorry, this is a little marble mortar and pestle. I prefer a granite one, a little heftier granite one. It'll make this go a lot faster. But these guys will do. This is my daughter's mortar and pestle. This is the one that she, when I'm pounding stuff, she likes to pound right next to me. One of the tasks that even like a 2-year, well, she's 3 now, but she's been doing it since she was 2. All right, so now we're gonna add this to our pork. Let's get some scallion in there too. Whoops, I slipped away. Oh, so you know what we'll do first actually is get our sauce going. So get our bowl, a little sugar in it, maybe a teaspoon or so. This is for 1 serving. Teaspoon of sugar, some vinegar, Jinkang vinegar, maybe a couple teaspoons of that. Soy sauce. This is dark soy sauce. You can use dark or light, or you can use shoyu. About a teaspoon of that. Then chili oil. So I have a bunch of homemade chili oil at home, but at the restaurant I have this stuff, Mom's Mala, which was the people who make this. They sent me some a while back, their first batch, and I told them there wasn't enough debris in it. So they changed the recipe, and now there is more debris in it, and now it's excellent. So it's got a nice numbing quality to it, a nice amount of chili heat, a little balance of sugar and salt. It's good. Good stuff. If you can't get homemade, yeah, I would recommend this stuff. There's a bunch of brands on the market out there that are all pretty decent. All right, so for our wok, what I do is I take a little paper towel. So there's the old advice that you should take a hot wok, add cold oil to a hot wok is going to help things not stick. Either that or you do what they do at restaurants, which is where they, oops, no spill there. I'll get that later. Which is where they kind of ladle a whole ton of oil in there at the start to really grease it up and get a nice non-stick coating. So the problem with trying to heat up all the oil that you're going to use when you stir fry at the start, which is what you would do if you don't want to heat up like 2 quarts of oil or 2 cups of oil and dump it out, is that as the oil heats up, it's going to start to burn. What happens is by the time it's hot and by the time it's kind of smoking hot, most of the oil has already acquired a kind of burnt flavor to it. So what I do is I rub a thin coat of oil in there first, and then once that oil starts smoking, then I add more oil. I add fresh oil to it. So that way I know that the wok is hot, it's preheated well enough to stir fry in, but I don't burn the oil. So you kind of use the oil as just sort of like a built-in thermometer that tells you that the temperature of the wok is good enough. Oh, sesame paste. This is sesame paste, roasted sesame paste, Chinese style. You can also use tahini. If you don't have either of those, you can use peanut butter. So I'm just going right in there. And that is our sauce base. To this we're going to add, normally you would add some stock. We don't have stock though, so what I'm going to do is add some of the cooking liquid from the noodles, because that has kind of the body that stock has, because of the starch that comes off the noodles. Little trick from Italian pasta. All right, so this wok is hot. I think we're recording here, are we? Sure. All right, hot enough. Now we're gonna add enough oil to coat. And we're gonna put our pork mixture in there. I'll let it initially kind of just like fry as a little kind of cake for a second. Meanwhile, I'm gonna get these noodles in this water. So these are just Chinese style noodles, not alkaline noodles, just fresh wheat noodles. No eggs. If you can't get Chinese noodles, you can use, what you can do is you can use spaghetti or angel hair, and just add a little bit of baking soda to the water, and it gives them kind of the chewiness. You know, these aren't alkaline noodles, but it gives them a little bit of that chewiness of that a fresh wheat noodle will have, and also a little bit of the flavor. This is way more pork than we need for a serving, but the good thing about this topping is that you can store it. All right, so just roughly break up that pork. Next, the next ingredient is this, yakai, which is a pickled mustard root. You can get this online. You can find it in most Chinese grocery stores, and if you can't, the next best thing I've found is actually sauerkraut, finely chopped sauerkraut. It's a pretty similar flavor. So this is pickled mustard stem, fermented mustard stem. Sauerkraut, or a mixture of sauerkraut and very finely chopped olives, will kind of get you that similar sort of salty, fermented profile. All right, our noodles are almost done. The topping's done. Oh man, that smell, that pickly smell. That's what it's about. Okay, so our noodles I think are close to done. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a little splash of that pasta water. Put it into our bowl. Stir it up. And give it a little taste. I think I could use a little more vinegar. I always think I could use more vinegar. Yeah. So if you want, at this point you could also add some greens to the water and let them kind of wilt down. Spinach is great, bok choy, baby bok choy, even kale, any kind of green. And you don't have to make any of that look pretty, by the way. All right, now we take our pork and pickled mustard mixture. This is like a street food, you know. It's normally you wouldn't get quite this much of the topping, but I like the topping, so I'm putting extra topping. Green onions, I'm going to put a little extra of the Sichuan peppercorn for that numbing effect. Peanuts. I'm going to throw in a little chopped cilantro. And finally, oh, where'd my chilies? There you go. A little extra chili oil. Oh man, I just realized I don't have any chopsticks here. So what am I gonna do? I guess I'll just use a fork. I'm gonna go grab a fork. Alright. A little hot bowl. Alright, den noodles. So normally, yeah, this dish, you serve the sauce on the bottom, the noodles and the topping. You know, this is just like sort of an artifact of the way it would be served in the street. You know, it's just easy to prep the bowls with the sauce. Then when you order it, they cook the noodles, they have the topping on the side, and they just dump it on top. At home, you can do it however you want. You can toss it all together. But you see, you do want it a little bit sort of soupy looking at the start, and as you eat, so what happens if it's not soupy enough, as you eat, it kind of congeals into a hard mass because the noodles start to cool down a little bit and the starch thickens up. But, so you can see once it's tossed, it's really not soupy at all. There's like no extra sauce down there to speak of. It kind of all just folds together, you see? So you want all that liquid in there to start. You want what looks like too much liquid. Yeah, it's got that like vinegary. These noodles are starting to dry out a little because I had them in an open container in the fridge. Vinegary, hot, sweet, salty, so good. Of course, numbing. Numbing from that Sichuan peppercorn. That is good stuff. I feel like I always make like a huge mess in these videos. I'm not normally this messy. It's just I don't know. You know, when you're on camera, you get nervous, or at least I get nervous. Maybe you don't get nervous. I get nervous. All right, I will see you later. Bye.